What if the biggest thing holding you back isn't failure? What if it's not lack of talent, not bad luck, and not even fear? What if the real enemy is something that feels safe, easy, and comfortable? Right now, millions of people believe they are stuck in life because opportunities are limited. They think success belongs only to the lucky, the talented, or the privileged. But the truth is far more disturbing because the modern world has created something humans were never designed for. A life filled with constant comfort. Food arrives instantly. Entertainment never ends. Technology removes almost every inconvenience. And slowly, without realizing it, that comfort may be destroying the very thing that makes humans powerful, their potential. But to understand why this happens, we need to go back thousands of years, long before smartphones, long before streaming platforms, long before modern convenience. For most of human history, life was brutally difficult. Our ancestors lived in an unpredictable world. Food was not guaranteed. Shelter had to be built by hand. Danger could appear at any moment. Every day demanded effort. Every day demanded focus. And every day demanded resilience. The human brain evolved under these harsh conditions. It learned to solve problems, to overcome obstacles, to survive through persistence. In other words, your brain was designed for challenge. It was designed to struggle and grow stronger because of it. But something changed. Over the last few decades, the environment surrounding humans has transformed faster than our brains can adapt. Today you can order food without leaving your chair. You can watch endless entertainment without moving. You can scroll for hours without thinking. And for the first time in human history, life has become too comfortable. At first this seems like progress, but there is a hidden psychological cost, because when the brain is surrounded by constant comfort, it begins to change, and that change triggers a dangerous cycle, a cycle that slowly replaces ambition with ease, effort with distraction, and growth with stagnation. But the most dangerous part of this cycle is something most people never even notice. It begins deep inside the brain, with a powerful chemical called dopamine, chemical of pleasure. But that is not entirely true. Dopamine is actually the chemical of motivation. It drives you to pursue rewards. It pushes you to chase goals. It gives you the energy to keep going when things become difficult. Thousands of years ago, this system helped humans survive. When early humans hunted for food, dopamine kept them focused. When they searched for water, dopamine pushed them forward. When survival depended on effort, dopamine rewarded persistence. But in the modern world, this ancient system has been hijacked. Today, dopamine rewards arrive instantly. Scrolling through social media, watching endless videos, eating highly processed food, playing games designed to keep your attention. Each of these activities delivers a quick burst of dopamine with almost no effort, and slowly, your brain begins to learn something dangerous. It learns that rewards no longer require struggle. It learns that pleasure is always available. And once the brain learns this lesson, everything changes. Why struggle through a difficult project when instant entertainment is waiting? Why work hard toward a distant goal when quick pleasure is only one click away? Why endure discomfort when comfort is everywhere? This is where the real psychological trap begins. Because once the brain adapts to constant comfort, difficulty starts to feel unbearable. Tasks that once felt manageable suddenly feel exhausting. Challenges that once felt exciting begin to feel stressful, and slowly, motivation begins to fade. But the most dangerous part of this transformation is something very few people realize. Your brain is constantly rewiring itself. Every choice you make shapes the structure of your mind. This process is called neuroplasticity. When you repeatedly choose comfort over challenge, the neural pathways associated with discipline grow weaker. The pathways associated with easy rewards grow stronger. And, over time, your brain adapts to a new normal. Comfort becomes the default. Effort becomes the exception. And, without realizing it, you train your brain to avoid the very struggles required for growth. But this transformation does not happen overnight. It happens slowly, quietly, almost invisibly, until one day, people begin noticing something strange. They feel less motivated, less focused, less driven than they once were, and many begin asking the same frustrating question: what happened to my ambition? For many people, the loss of motivation feels mysterious. They assume something is wrong with them. They blame their personality, their environment, their circumstances. But the real problem is far simpler. Their brain has simply been trained to avoid discomfort. And when discomfort disappears from your life, growth disappears with it. Every meaningful achievement requires struggle. Learning a skill requires patience. Building a career requires discipline. Improving your health requires effort. Developing confidence requires facing fear. Growth has always lived on the other side of difficulty. But when the brain becomes addicted to comfort, it begins rejecting the very experiences that create progress. And slowly, dreams begin to fade, not because they were impossible, but because comfort made them feel too difficult to pursue. This shift happens gradually. At first, you delay small responsibilities. Then, procrastination becomes more frequent. Your attention span begins to shrink. Your focus weakens. Tasks that once felt manageable begin to feel overwhelming. And eventually, many people start feeling stuck. They know they want more from life. They know they have goals. But every attempt to move forward feels strangely difficult. And the reason is simple. Their brain has adapted to a world where comfort is always the easiest option. So, every time they try to push themselves, their mind resists, not because they are lazy, but because their brain has been trained to protect comfort. If this pattern continues long enough, the consequences become much larger than missed opportunities. Years pass faster than most people expect, and eventually reality becomes clear. The person who constantly avoided challenges rarely grows. The person who always chose comfort rarely reaches their full potential. And the most painful realization often arrives later in life, when people look back and wonder, what could I have become if I had pushed myself more? But there is something important to understand. Comfort itself is not the enemy. The real danger is uncontrolled comfort. The most successful individuals in the world understand this principle deeply. They intentionally create discomfort in their lives. They train harder, wake earlier, work longer, push beyond what feels easy. Not because they enjoy suffering, but because they understand something powerful. Discomfort is the price of growth. Every skill, every achievement, every transformation exists on the other side of effort. And the people who reach their potential are not always the most talented. They are the ones who train their minds to embrace challenge. Over time, this rewires their brains in the opposite direction. Instead of craving comfort, their minds begin craving progress. But comfort is only one of the hidden psychological traps that quietly limits human potential. There is another invisible force, one that silently destroys focus, confidence, and discipline. And most people experience it every single day without realizing it.